Y'all know what time it is. It's Yankified time. Let's get ranting, baby. So the Yankees lay another egg, 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position. Aaron Boone had a nightmare of a series. And the Yankee bats were ridiculous runners in scoring position. I cannot imagine how they managed to go 4 for 31, 1 for 15, and they have the worst record in baseball in extra innings. Goes further than that. They actually made history, not the kind of good history, though. Once again, Boone's Yankees make the wrong kind of history. This is the first time in Yankee history that the Yankees have lost back-to-back games in extra innings by losing via walk-off. Never happened before. Splitting the series is a disgrace, says Evan. And he's right. Because here's something that's absolutely absurd. Ryan Weathers gave you 7-inning shutout. Cam Schlittler gave you 6 1/3, 1 run. So that's over 13 1/3 innings of just 1 run ball. And they lost both games. That tells you everything about this offense. You managed to lose with your starters going 13 1/3 innings of just 1 run ball. Cam Schlittler, your ace, was another majestic performance. Ryan Weathers, your 4th or 5th starter, gives you 7-inning shutout, and you can't win? You can't win that game. That tells you everything about where we're at with this team. This team can't hit. It is not sustainable to have to rely on your starters to throw shutout baseball and then your bullpen to throw shutout baseball in order to win a ball game. It is not sustainable. You cannot live like that on a daily basis. You just can't do it. And the bullpen was shut out today until Fernando Cruz came along. But unbelievably, the Yankees could not score a freaking single run until extra innings when there was a ghost runner. This is where we're at. This is where we're at. So the profligacy with runners in scoring position is one major issue here. But you know what's an even bigger issue? The stupidity of this Yankee team, which is a constant trend with an Aaron Boone team. An Aaron Boone team is known for one thing: stupidity. Stupidity. What did the Dodgers call it? Yankee baseball. This is what the Yankees are under Aaron Boone. So I'm sure y'all are going to cast your mind back to last night when Ali Sanchez cost the Yankees the game. But the biggest issue with that, not only was it stupid, not only was it ever lovingly stupid, and Ali Sanchez should have no business being on a baseball team, let alone the Yankees. Not only is it ever lovingly stupid, terrible play, made no sense. There was no reason to make that throw. But the worst aspect about it was Aaron Boone defended it afterwards. Do you guys want to know why this team continues to have a constant problem with runners in scoring position, a constant problem with fundamentals, a constant problem on the base paths, a constant problem making the right play? It's because they're poorly coached. They're unprepared and they're poorly coached. And part of the reason why they're unprepared and poorly coached is because Aaron Boone allows this stuff to happen. He defends it. The simplest thing in the world was for him just to say, that was a mistake. That should never happen. But no, he didn't do that. Instead, he defended it. He defended it. And that is a huge problem because there was really no leg to stand on. It was ridiculously stupid. There was no upside to that throw. That snap throw, there was no upside to it. There was 2 outs, and the runner was not going to try and steal. He was at third base, 2 outs at third base. The only way that guy was going to score was through a wild pitch or a base hit. He wasn't stealing home, so the snap throw made no sense with 2 outs. None. You weren't catching him asleep in the base pass. There was no reason to make that snap throw. But honestly, it kind of looked like it was a dugout call. It kind of looked like it was a dugout call. But regardless whether it was a dugout call or it was Ali Sanchez trying to be cute, it was stupid. And a good manager who holds guys to account simply says, that can't happen. It's as simple as that. It's not really throwing anybody under the bus. It's just very simple. That can't happen. But no, he's just like, oh, no problem with it. Just gotta play catch better. Gotta play catch better. He allows this to happen. Every single time there's a stupid thing that happens, Aaron Boone allows it to happen. And another thing, and this is just from last night. Why was Trent Grisham fielding the ball at regular depth in center field on that walk-off? Why was he in regular depth? With the infield in, why was he standing in regular depth? It made no sense. If he's playing shallow and the ball goes overhead, the game's over anyway. So why the hell does he play back? It gave him no opportunity to make a play. None. It made no sense. What's the point in the infield being in? And that's something that has to be coming from Aaron Boone. Unless Trent Grisham just doesn't give a shit, which is possible as well. But even that is still a poor reflection on the lack of leadership. There's a lack of leadership. It's so poorly run, this team. It's so poorly run. It's poorly coached. It's poorly managed. It's poorly put together. This roster is dog shit. And the manager is dog shit. And he just allows this shit to happen. And we're not even talking about today, where there was more and more stupidity. And it keeps happening. This time, Jason Dominguez ran for a triple and then overran the bag. Completely got time to slide wrong and slid way off the bag, way out. For the first out at third base, which is the cardinal sin of baseball. Never make the first out at third. So that, in the end, it actually cost the Yankees the game, because if the Yankees score a run that inning, the Yankees win the game. And that's just poor fundamentals. Dominguez, poor fundamentals. Jazz Chisholm, once again, picked off. Aaron Boone had no problem with that, though. No problem with that. So he's like, oh, that was just, that's what they do. That's what you do. So he was trying to steal. This happens all the time with Jazz, but you're perfectly okay with it. Perfectly okay with it. Ali Sanchez had a nightmare these last couple of games. A nightmare. He stranded 5 runners in scoring position in extra innings over the last 2 nights. A nightmare. He can't field his position. A pass ball allowed the White Sox to score. And then a snap throw that went right over the third baseman's head, down the third baseline. Stupidity. Complete stupidity. It's a stupid team. And honestly, they fully deserve to lose those 2 games. And frankly, They deserve to lose the series because what about Anthony Volpe dropping the pop-up in the 9th inning in Game 2? They were fortunate to get out of that one. In Game 1, they were very fortunate to get out of that one. This is a constant theme with these Yankees. If there's a stupid thing that they can do, they will find a way of doing it. They will find a way. Trust me. If there is a stupid thing that they can do to shoot themselves in the foot, by God, they will do it. And honestly, good, well-coached, well-managed, good fundamental baseball teams don't try and find a way to lose. But the Yankees, under Aaron Boone, find ways to lose. That's why he has a below 500 record in October. He finds ways to lose. And a lot of it is because he sets the precedent during the regular season where he allows shit like Jazz getting picked off, defends it. Ali Sanchez doing a snap throw with 2 outs on a runner at third base for no reason to score the runner. He allows that stuff to happen. The mental lapses are constant under Aaron Boone's leadership. And it's not just the isolated incident over the last 2 games. It's not just an isolated incident with the June swoons and all that stuff. It's been going on for about 7 to 8 years. 7 to 8 years of Aaron Boone's Yankees looking unprepared, lacking in fundamentals, making stupid mental mistakes on a constant basis. It's actually a rarity when they don't make mental lapses. It's just normally they have Aaron Judge and Big G to hit enough home runs where they can make up for the mental lapses. But that shit doesn't happen on October. Because the precedent is set during the regular season. So once we get into October, when the stakes are at this highest, this team crumbles. As the team crumbles in extra innings because they can't handle the pressure and they can't find ways in which to score with runners in scoring position. 4 of 31 this series. Last 2 games, sorry. 4 of 31 in the last 2 games, which is absolutely beyond belief. Beyond belief. So, I mean, I know that it's the individual. Obviously, Jazz is culpable. Dominguez is moronic with his base running and his poor lack of baseball IQ. Volpe's lack of baseball IQ. Ali Sanchez's lack of baseball IQ. All this is a constant thing. You know, absolutely, it's an individual thing, but it has to be a poor reflection on the lack of management, the poor coaching, lack of fundamentals. It is a constant thing. And this will continue to happen. It will continue to happen as long as Aaron Boone is the manager. So we got plenty to talk about, but we got plenty in the chat, all raring to go. So let's say hello to the frickin' chat. What's up, guys? John the Beagle Dad. Fucking pathetic. Good to see you in the chat, my guy. He's the early bird. We got Evan. What's up, Evan? What's up, man? How are you? Splitting the series is a disgrace. I completely agree. Got Donnie Clark in the chat. We got my boy Rubinho, my brother from another mother. What's good, my guy Rubinho? Gotta play catch. There's Aaron Boone's favorite saying. There he is. Gotta play catch. You know what? Aaron Boone has quite a few drops. You know, he loves his drops, Aaron Boone. You know, such as this one.
Anything, that's what we do, baby. You gotta love this stuff. You gotta eat this stuff up. It's a sickness.
It's a sickness, baby. It's a sickness. It's a sickness. You gotta eat that stuff up. You gotta love it, baby. It is a sickness. Donnie Clark, Yankees are putting a spring training lineup. Well, that is true. it's a AAA lineup. Just a couple of injuries, and this team sends out a AAA team. Jake continues to defend Aaron Boone. Donald, he's not going to throw his players under the bus. I get it, but it doesn't need to be so black and white, then. It doesn't need to be so black and white with Aaron Boone. You can make pointed criticisms without throwing anybody under the bus. I understand it's not Donnie it's not like Billy Martin. I understand that. I understand the days of Lou Piniella are gone. Joe Torre, I get that. I don't love it, but I get it. So I'm not saying that players need to be thrown under the bus per se, but pointed criticism to know that there are standards set is never a bad thing. I refuse to believe that that's a bad thing. And if they can't handle it, then they are not cut out for New York. We are far too soft with these players. We are far too soft with these players. Boone is far too soft with them. Cashman's far too soft with them. Remember what Cashman said? Oh, we don't need to hold anybody accountable because the media does that for us. You know, the market does it for them. Bullshit. Bullshit. If these players can't handle some pointed criticism when they fuck up, then they will be doomed to make the same mistakes because it's a culture. It then becomes a culture. So I'm sorry, Jake. I don't think it needs to be as black and white as that. There are ways in which you can get your point across to say that's not acceptable. I know he's a player's manager, man, but honestly, I don't think because these players are coddled. You can be a player's manager, but not coddle them. I just don't think it needs to be as black and white as that. You know? Yeah, I'm sure he's going to talk to them privately, but a role as a manager, I know the Yankees have a different role for Aaron Boone, but the real role for a manager is when he speaks to the media to know that when you're speaking to the media, you're actually speaking to the fans. So the fans have a right to know that there are some standards being set behind the scenes. You know, that's all Aaron Boone has to say is, I'll need to talk to Alex Sanchez about that. That doesn't make it didn't make any sense at the time. That's a mistake. Cost us the game. But it's not on him because obviously it's a bigger issue. You could say something like that. Obviously, you know, we don't blame individuals. It's a team game. Win and lose is a team. However, that individual aspect was a mistake. We need to talk to him about it. That's not throwing anyone under the bus, but it makes it clear that there are some standards being set here. You know, Jazz being caught in the base pass. Yeah, we love his aggressiveness, but honestly, he's running us into some outs, and it's happening too often. We need to talk to him about it. Something like that, where it's like we're setting some standards. We realize that there's an issue, and we're going to try and address that issue. But Boone doesn't do that. Instead, he gets combative with the media, and he looks at them like they're freaking morons. How dare you ask questions like that? And it sets up the incidents, what happens a lot with Aaron Boone, gaslighting. Cashman DFA'd Gritchuk, and Gritchuk came back to bite the Yankees in the ass this series. I love that. Yankees always find a way to lose game. New ways to lose games. That's what happens. We got Haiti. Boone gave him a hug afterwards, from what I read. Of course. I'm sure they went for coffee, had an ice cream. This team is an embarrassment to the city of New York. I could not say it better myself. TC, well said. I think we got a White Sox fan in the chat. It was a good game, boys. You were missing Judge. Oh, no, he's a Rays fan. Sorry. Going Rays fan, you need Judge. You know what, bro? Honestly, Judge is making this team a World Series team. Judge, even I understand we're missing Judge, we're missing his power. But honestly, even with Aaron Judge, this team is not winning a World Series. The problem is it's so much deeper than injuries, so much deeper than Aaron Judge being injured, so much deeper. Trust me, as a Rays fan, this Yankee team can be got. You know how? Put the ball in play. Put the ball in play against the Yankees and watch them try and screw it up. It happens all the time. Happens all the time. Basically, the key to the game is pitch around Ben Rice and attack everybody else. I mean, again, yeah, we're missing them, but even the three of them aren't making this team a World Series team because, as I say, it goes much deeper than injuries, you know? Bailey has had a mediocre year. Big G has, we love Big G on this channel, but he's not been a huge asset the last year or two, you know? And Aaron Judge, he's just as culpable because I think he allows a lot of this stuff to happen in the locker room, all this real malaise that happens, you know? He never really stands up to stuff. You know, he never really leads, but he leads by example, but I don't think he leads with any kind of toughness. So it kind of looks like he's kind of all right with this stuff, you know? And then he said something like, "Oh, it's above my pay grade," when asking if the Yankees should be making moves at the deadline. I mean, that's a layup answer. Bryce Harper went after the Phillies front office. He's like, "We need players." Aaron Judge could have done that, but no. He says, "Oh, it's above my pay grade." No. It's not a great leader. So, like, yeah, we missed the three of them in terms of what they offer at the offense, but I'm not sure. In fact, I am sure that even the three of them don't make this team a World Series team. Yankees should be buyers of the deadline. I kind of agree with that. Well, no, sorry. I'd be, to be honest, I'd be closer to selling if I was honest. Bring Lombard up now. Well, yes and no, but I don't want to rush because we made the same mistake with Volpe. I don't want to rush prospects. I really don't want to rush them. Is this the Yankees or the Cleveland Indians from the Major League movie? Well, they're not really showcasing Jones, bro. They keep pinch hitting him. The guy had a 3-run home run the other night, but the Yankees are always looking for an excuse to bring in Schumann, who can't field. He can't field his position. Again goes to Aaron Boone. Schumann in left field is a disaster class. Any ball that is 50-50 in left field, Schumann will dive and he will miss it 100% of the time. TC steals. If not for the pitching, this team would be 20 games under 500. It would be definitely below 500. Sorry, 20 games under 500. This team would definitely be below 500 if not for the absurdly good pitching. Stevie B goes to my point here. What's up, Donald? Why the hell you take Jones out when he's hitting for a utility player and not a real outfielder? Why is Volpe playing? He cost us. Yeah, he was like 0 for 5 today. Send him to Japan for free sushi for a year. Definitely be more valuable than Volpe. But I agree with you. I don't understand what their thinking is, what their rationale is with Spencer Jones. Like, if he was struggling, I'd get it. But the dude tattooed a 3-run home run, and the Yankees are looking for every excuse to pinch hit him. Every excuse to get him out of the game. He's a better fielder. He's actually a better fielder than Trent Grisham. Sorry, it's true. He's a better fielder than Jason Dominguez, and he's a hell of a lot better fielder than Max Schumann. Why is Spencer Jones not playing? Answer that on a postcard. I want Boone defenders to tell me why Spencer Jones is not playing the outfield. Please tell me. Enlighten me. Enlighten me. I know his swing is erratic. I get it. I know there's a lot of moving pieces there. It's clunky swing, but when he does get round on it, when he keeps his shoulder in and he drives that baseball, he makes good contact. Plus, he can field his position. I don't understand why the Yankees dislike him this seriously. Like, he doesn't make the kind of mistakes that Jason Dominguez does. Let's be fair. It's over. What's up? It's over. Good to see you in the chat. Have you noticed how many mental lapses this team has under Aaron Boone? Exactly. They don't look a smart team on the field. Facts, facts, facts. Mistakes keep piling up. Sloppy fielding, poor base running, general lack of awareness. Thank you. Exactly my point. Better situational awareness? Question? Absolutely. Benny Barrows wants to talk deadline. Talking about these games makes me sick. We'll get around to the deadline. We'll get around to it. But honestly, does it matter? Does it frickin' matter? Like, who's Cashman going to bring in that's going to make this team an excellent team? Who's he going to bring in that's going to make up for Aaron Boone's poor management? Brian Cashman's incompetence. The locker room's malaise. The lack of situational awareness. The lack of situational hitting. Poor base running. It goes much deeper than personnel. Because the reason why is because we change the personnel almost annually. Apart from these past 2 years, we ran it back for whatever God knows, God-forsaken reason we ran it back. But the personnel changes, but the results never change. The personnel changes, the results never do. Why is that? I'll tell you why. Because the problem starts at the top. Leadership. Leadership's poor. The leadership is poor. That's where it starts with. It starts with leadership. There is a lack of leaders. There's a lack of winners in the locker room. There's almost no winners in the dugout. In fact, there are 0 winners in the dugout. And to be honest, there's precious few winners in the locker room itself. And with that lack of winning mentality, then a lot of these mistakes are just going to be allowed. And we're in the participation trophy era of the New York Yankees. And for us old heads, it's really difficult to stomach. It's really difficult to stomach. Jazz is terrible and useless. Love it, Evan. He's a bum. So is Jazz. Amen. Benny going both barrels right there. Jazz was wild, man, says Haiti. Yeah, don't forget Jazz not running out the play and coming up as if he got injured. Biggest fake-ass bum ever, bro. Agreed. Stevie B. Volpe is the equivalent of a goldfish. He has a disease named after him. Volpomator disease. Playing poor and making others playing poor, making others contagious and playing stupid around them. I love that, bro. It's very good, very creative. I'll need to remember that. The Volpomator disease. Okay. I'm gonna remember that, brother. What is Aaron Buffoon's credentials? Hitting 1 home run in 2003. Jesus, I'd rather see the Foo Fighters play baseball than the Yankees. Me frickin' too, brother. Me frickin' too. In fact, I'd much rather see the Foo Fighters in a baseball field. In fact, I'd rather see the Foo Fighters play Yankee Stadium than the Yankees play Yankee Stadium, because the Yankees are unwatchable right now. The way that the Yankees play baseball is disgusting. It's completely unwatchable. An unwatchable brand of ridiculous mistakes. It's going on too long, and I've had it. I've had it up to here. I can't take it anymore. I can't take it. It's like I'm going out. I'm losing my mind here. I'm stuck in this vortex where we're in the same planet as we're saying the same shit as we did 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And it's the same shit, same bullshit. And I'm supposed to get excited about this team? Nothing changes. Please. Jake actually says, no, by the way, I don't like Boone. All right. Apologies. I think the team needs a change, but I try to be objective. No, I do get it. I do get that. I do think there's a lack of fundamentals, but I think a lot of that is on the players as well. That is fair. But my point is, I think that there's a way that Boone can approach this where he can still have an air of strength about him, where you kind of know that he's not accepting what's going on. And just to even indicate that without throwing people under the bus would make people feel like so much better about the situation, you know? Because here's the thing. We've been doing this podcast since for a long time, right? Aaron Boone's been going as manager since 2018. It's the same narrative. It's the same story. Same poor fundamentals, same poor mistakes that cost them valuable games, and they end up settling for a wild card instead of winning the division, and it's been going on for years and years and years, right? And then they trudge along to October, and they lose, right? Every single year. And a lot of the same things happen. Poor quality at bats or runners in scoring position. Poor mistakes on the field, terrible base running mistakes, boneheaded mistakes that can only come from a lack of management, a lack of leadership. You know, because a lot of this stuff can be cut out at the head, you know, but they don't do it. They just allow it to happen. Oh, it's fine. Oh, it's just June. Oh, it's just July. It's fine. It's just I'll be right around the corner. And with that kind of attitude, it just breeds a malaise where no one kind of seems to give a shit, you know? And it got to the point where Aaron Judge, who normally allows a lot of this to happen, even called it out a couple of weeks ago, saying there was a lack of intensity, you know? And then even Jazz, who's the biggest clown probably in the history of the Yankees, he's even saying that there was a lack of intensity, and that's kind of scary, you know. And who's at fault for that? Aaron Boone. So Boone can be a better leader, and the Yankees love to gaslight you, and that is what annoys people, because don't piss on our head and tell us it's raining. Treat us like adults, you know, but they don't do it. They have no respect for the fans. They treat us like idiots. And they repeat the same nonsense as they've been saying since 2018. And it gets tiresome. Eventually, you get your back up and go, no, I'm not backing you. TC Sills says there's nothing Cashman can do to make this team better. Right. I agree. That's why it's almost not worth it. Like, you can make supplemental moves, but for me, the heavy lifting, that's the kind of shit that has to happen in the off season. Yes, I agree, TC Steels. I mean, it's a terrible look that, you know, the Yankees with, like, God, like 100 times the resources that the Rays do, and they're not even half as good a baseball team. That's scary. You know, they're not as good a manager. They don't have as good a GM. You know, they're lacking in a lot of areas, and they're raising depth in a lot of areas, and they play the right way. Rob, at least our starting pitching is so good that we'll lose every playoff game 2-1. But I mean, that is just so scary that the last two games, our starters went 13 and a third innings, only allowing one run over 13 and a third combined innings, and the Yankees still lost both games. That's really hard to do. It's almost a gift. Okay? It's almost a gift. In fact, you could take it a step further and say the Yankees went 10 innings today without giving up a run and still lost. Like, it's unsustainable. It is unsustainable. This approach is unsustainable. And you actually saw it. Finally, Boone actually showed a little bit of irritation, where he's like, "We got to score we got to score a freaking point, man." It's wrong, but I get you, Boone. But he finally looked like he was a little frustrated, and that's good. That's not out of place, honestly. But Weathers went 7 innings, 3 hits, 4 strikeouts. And then Schlittler went 6 and a third, just the 1 run. He was majestic. And they still couldn't find a way to win. Like, Schlittler's turning into prime Jacob DeGrom with a shitty Mets team. That's what it's like now. Remember when DeGrom had a Cy Young year for the Mets, and the Mets kept losing every game, like 1-0? It's the same thing. Schlittler went 6 and a third, 8 strikeouts. Still can't win. That's a shame, man. Like, honestly, like that Game of Thrones scene. Shame. Like, that's what the Yankees are. Shame. CVB, different problem, same ending. Exactly. Junior Caballero, love him. Love Junior Caminero. And Diaz. Yeah, Diaz is a beast. Facts. Donald, it's about the presence of Judge and Bailey and Big G in the lineup. That's all that matters. Well, we've not seen Big G since April. And Bellinger hasn't really had any power at all this year. And Aaron Judge has a serious rib injury, which I'm not even convinced is going to be healed by the time we get to September. So, honestly, I know the Yankees are going to use the injury excuse. I'm not saying you're using that excuse, but I know the Yankees are going to use that excuse. But it's just a safe excuse. Because the problems were started, honestly, the problems were started in the winter when the Yankees refused to do anything. That's when the season was cooked, not when Judge's rib injury happened. This Yankee season was cooked when Brian Cashman ran the whole roster back, a failed roster. That's when the season was cooked, not when Aaron Judge got injured. Aaron Judge's injury has only exacerbated the lack of depth, the lack of preparation, and the lack of roster quality. Because the Yankees, for so long under Brian Cashman, have been living off Aaron Judge having generational years on an annual basis to cover for their own incompetence, their own inability to build a team around him. The only time they did it properly was 2024 with Juan Soto. And a healthy Big G. And a healthy Cole. That was the year to go all in. They didn't take that opportunity. It's a terrible, terrible run organization. Again, it goes back to Brian Cashman, but he takes no responsibility for anything. Donnie Clark, Spencer should be playing every game. I agree. You should be. Mario Ruiz. Hey, Donald, the way I see it, Hal is slow. Boone's very smart. Boone is like, fuck, I'll keep collecting checks. Yeah, I mean, I mean, he keeps getting extensions. He's the only Yankee manager. Aaron Boone is the only Yankee manager in the history of the Yankees ever to receive multiple extensions and never win a World Series. Ever. They could get both Miller and Abrams, and Boone would find a way to take them both out of the game for Duvall and Volpe. And that is not even a joke. That is not even a joke, because we know Boone would do it. You know it. That is Aaron Boone for you. Right, we've got a lot of talk about the deadline. Lots of comments in the chat. So many chat. I'm actually struggling to keep up with it. Everybody's so many comments here. Thank you so much to everyone. Everyone is frustrated, and I totally get it. Benny Barrel says maybe the season is over. I mean, it depends on what your definition of over is. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're saying is it over because are we going to make a World Series and win a World Series? Yeah, it's over. It's never going to happen. But, you know, can they get the first wild card? Probably. Can they, you know, win the wild card series on the back of Fried, Cole, and obviously a Schlitt show? Sure. Will they go any farther? No. It's the same story. Donnie Clark says, hit those likes. Exactly, guys. We've got so many people in the chat. If you guys could do me the solid of hitting that like button just now, hop on over to YouTube if you're watching on X. We got 22 people watching on X. If any of you guys get that opportunity, hop on over to YouTube and hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, why not subscribe? Turn the notification button on so that you know whenever we drop a live stream like this, an impromptu live stream, that you guys will be there. And hey, even think about becoming a member if you so wish. We have some membership perks happening in the background where we want to give you guys some merch, some badass merch, and it's free of charge. So do think about doing all the good stuff. But yeah, let's continue to cook Aaron Boone and these Yankees. How about that? Aaron Buffoon smirks because he knows he won't get fired. So, I just pray. I honestly pray from the bottom of my heart. I pray for change. I pray for change. It has to happen. Change is the only way that this team can get back to where it is, where it should be. It's the only way. Being a puppet, which Aaron Boone is, you can argue the semantics of the word choice, whatever. Boone is a puppet for Brian Cashman. He absolutely is. That's why Brian Cashman protests so much, because he knows it's the truth. That's why Brian Cashman went so nuts about it that he was on the phone to Derek Jeter and A-Rod and then went in WFA and ripped them and all that stuff, because he knows it's true. He just doesn't want it out there. Puppets don't win, right? Aaron Boone has the authority of a wet lettuce. Okay? He has no authority. None. But what he's asked to do, the Yankees are delighted with what he's asked to do, because he protects the front office and he coddles the players, and there's no leaks of players being unhappy or players looking to leave or players checking out. because Boone loves them hard. He loves them all big time, you know? Like his reaction last year when the Yankees lost the Blue Jays. Oh, the guys in this locker room are just so sad. They're currently right now sharing like it's some sort of like Bible study. Oh, the guys are backstage. You're just sharing. Like it's soft and it's just a weird mentality, you know. And it's Hal talks about the camaraderie of this team, and the camaraderie and all that stuff. It's overrated because they don't win. They're not focused, and they make poor mental mistakes. It comes from the manager, you know. So puppets don't win. Not having any winners in your dugout that know how to win games, know how to win championships. When you have no winners in your dugout, it's a terrible look. A-Rod called it out, and God bless A-Rod for that. Nobody knows how to win a championship on this Yankee Yankee dugout. Nobody. Aaron Boone, he was a skittish, to use Joe Torre's word choice, player as a Yankee. He was a terrible Yankee. He stole a home run off Tim Wakefield, where he got ahead of a pitch, lucked out, and it went over the wall. Good for him. Amazing moment. That was his only moment. He was a terrible Yankee. He was awful in the World Series against the Marlins after that. And then he got himself hurt playing pickup basketball, which led to A-Rod, thank God, coming along. But that's the only thing Aaron Boone's known for. Two things. Getting hurt playing pickup basketball and a home run in 2003. He has no qualification to be a Yankee manager. He doesn't. That's no disrespect to him. Like, he's managed to hustle his way into becoming a manager for this long. I guess he's doing something right. But as I say, he's a meek leader, and this team is incredibly unprepared. Oh yeah, more money, facts. All we ever hear about is the generation of Boones. The generation of Boones. Well, he's the black sheep of the family. He's the black sheep of the family. And by the way, this whole generation of things is nonsense. Have you seen LeBron's kid trying to play basketball? Bronny James? Bruh, I'm better at basketball than Bronny James. So it doesn't really matter like what your bloodline is. Like I've had it with the bloodline, honestly. So anyway, Aaron Boone, terrible leader. He just is. Brian Cashman, mad amounts of hubris, mad amounts of ego, and mad amounts of entitlement, and just historic levels of gaslighting. And he's lost it. He can't see the wood for the trees anymore, and he's stuck in the mid-2000s, and he keeps making the same mistakes over and over again. In fact, he jumps from one mistake to the next, and there's no accountability for it. None. Because Hal Steinbrenner treats him like family. He's a member of the family, so he's got a job for life. So he just keeps wasting all of Hal's money. If Hal really was a serious owner, he'd be looking at the expenditure and going, dude, I'm getting no value for money from my general manager. He spent like billions of dollars of my money since 2009, and we've only made it to one World Series in that time since 2010. One. Despite billions spent, having tons more resources than the next team, apart from the Dodgers, who have just usurped you. But they've allowed themselves to get lapped because they're complacent. And they make excuses for things they should not be making excuses for. So really, I pray that the Yankees make some changes. And I'm hoping that this is the season. I've been saying this for a long time, but I'm hoping that this is the season that's a catalyst for change. There has to be some catalyst for change. There has to be something. There has to be a point where the Yankees go, enough is enough. But they don't seem to do it. They're very content with winning 89, 90 games, being a wild card team, and then patting themselves on the back. Donald, it's time. Sale. That's why he keeps thinking the Yankees. Are you saying that the Steinbrenners need to sell? I don't think it's ever going to happen, bro. I mean, it's a cash cow. The Yankees are a cash cow for Hal to do the things that he's interested in, i.e., boats, hotels, horses, and AC Milan and other ventures. Hal's more interested in other shit than he is baseball. I keep saying this, and so is Tats, and I'd be giving it to his sister. Have his sister run the team because she actually goes to the games. It looks like she actually cares. If Hal wants to be co-owner, where he can work in the background, dealing with the finances, that's fine. That's Hal's strength. But the day-to-day running of the operation, that's not his strength. It isn't. He's absent. And he's afraid to make moves. He's afraid of it. I don't really know an owner that is literally afraid of making decisions. I've never seen it before. But since his dad passed away, and since his brother passed away, what major decision has Hal Steinbrenner made? What major decision? He hasn't. He's allowed the entire operation to be run by Brian Cashman. And he's running it, and Brian Cashman was running it to the ground. The only person that could fire Aaron Boone is Hal. And Hal doesn't want to do it. And I don't even believe that Hal is as much in love with Boone as Brian Cashman is. But Brian Cashman's never going to fire Aaron Boone. Because Aaron Boone's his bodyguard. Aaron Boone is his puppet. He can pull all the strings for Aaron Boone. He's not guaranteed to be pulling strings of someone as meek as Aaron Boone. There's not that many people out there like that. He's perfect for what the Yankees are asking him to do, which is all the wrong things that doesn't actually help winning. But that's the thing. And Brian knows that he basically staked the latter part of his career on Aaron Boone. And if he fired him, then he'd be admitting that he made a freaking mistake in 2018. And you know that Brian Cashman never admits to making a mistake. Heck, they don't even want to move on from Austin Wells. This is the latest report that they don't want to move on from Austin Wells because they still believe in him. You know, the latest reports, they love Weaver and they love Clay Holmes. Right? Cashman's never going to admit a mistake where, A, he should have re-signed Weaver, and B, he's never going to admit that he screwed up by making Clay Holmes a closer. He's never going to admit these things. Just like he didn't admit when Javi Vasquez was a disastrous acquisition, so he went and got him again. Or when Nick Johnson was a disastrous Yankee, so he went and got him again. This is the kind of stuff that Brian Cashman does. He doesn't admit to mistakes. He refuses. So, in fact, he'll just go and make all new ones. So, again, he's never going to admit to making a mistake. He's never going to make any changes because he's perfectly content. He doesn't want people to be held accountable. Because if people were held accountable, that entire front office would be out of a job. So it's really on Hal to step up. But he doesn't do it. He doesn't want to. The Yankees make enough money enough profit for him to be concerned about other ventures. As long as he sees that we're above 500 and we're a playoff team, then they can just rinse and repeat, ask Brian Cashman to make some excuses up, and then he'll come in out and say something like, "Oh, we've given Aaron Boone another year's extension because I believe he's a really good manager, really good manager, does the job, everybody's happy, great job, the players like him, I think that mostly he makes the right decisions. He's a good manager, not a great manager, but that's fine. That's it. Perfect. No problemo." Dude, a lot of people are mad at the Yankee organization. And I'm mad, and this goes a little bit off topic, but I'm mad at the fact that there's some people out there on X that are trying to blame Derek Jeter for not going to Old Timers Day. Derek Jeter owes us nothing. He owes us zero, bro. He won us 5 championships. He's a Mount Rushmore Yankee. I think he's done his job. There's nothing more that he needs to do. He does not need to show up for Old Timers Day. He doesn't need to. If his family have his attention, God bless them. He's earned it. He has earned it. And also, I think that's a lot of it, but also I do believe that he wants absolutely nothing to do with the way that the Yankees are run right now. Trust me, I think he hates it more than I do, and a lot more than a lot of people in this chat do. I think he's sick of it too. I think he's sick and tired of the complacency, and I think he's sick and tired of the malaise, and I think he's sick and tired of the excuses, and I think he's sick and tired of Brian Cashman, and I know that he hates Brian Cashman. He despises him. Why? Because Cashman treated him like shit. Cashman treated him like dog shit when he was a player. He wanted him to test free agency. Mount Rushmore Yankee. Top 4, top 5, greatest player to ever do it. Greatest Yankee of a generation, multiple generations. And he tried to get him to test free agency. And to this day, he still hates Jeter because he's calling him up, giving him shit for opinions that he doesn't like. I was Derek Jeter, I would tell Brian Cashman to go fuck himself. Personally. So, anyone that goes after Jeet for not going to Old Timers Day, you all need to have a word with yourself. Jeter owes us nothing. And he owes the Yankees nothing. And he'll come back when it's good and ready. When he's good and ready. But he's not doing it right now. Plus, his presence is only going to do more harm than good because guys like me and guys that have actually seen him play every day, if you saw him at Old Timers Day, it would actually just make us upset. Going, oh my God, these were the good days. That's what it's like to have a good shortstop. That's what it's like to have a good captain. That's what it's like to have a good player with runners in scoring position. You know what I'm saying? Because this current team suck. Universally. I think it goes deeper than that, bro. I think he honestly feels he doesn't have anything to prove or left to give to baseball. I think his baseball chapter is closed. And, like, for instance, like, he's not kind of like a baseball savant like A-Rod is. Like, A-Rod just lives, breathes, dreams, obsesses about baseball. Well, really, that's Jeter. I think Jeter, once it was time, once he got in the Hall of Fame, he's like, right, my focus is on my family. And God bless him. I think he's earned that. And but I think you would see him a lot more if the organization respected him. But Cashman disrespects him on a constant basis, as Donnie Clark says. So, personally, if I was Jeter, I'd tell Cashman to fuck off too. And in fact, I really hope that he has. In fact, I wouldn't doubt it. Because if there's one person that really needs to fuck off, it's Brian Cashman. There won't be any changes. They'll gaslight the fans with some bullshit. Exactly, bro. No, A-Rod hates Cashman and vice versa, my friend. A-Rod won't be invited to any of the Old Timers events, which is a shame. A-Rod won't be having any role on this team, which I think is a shame because I think his leadership and his knowledge and his IQ would actually be useful. A-Rod wants to be part of the Yankee organization. Of course he does, but Cashman despises him. Despises him. So it's not going to happen. Listen, the only change that's going to be worthwhile for the Yankees is not what they do in 72 hours. It's what they do in the offseason. And what they need to do in the offseason is to get rid of Cashman and Aaron Boone. It's for me, it's the only way. You know, anything other than that, then it's just going to be the same old. Because nothing has changed in 2018. It's the same story, just that, you know, it's the same outcome, just different personnel. George was terrified of Hank and Hal running the organization live as well. Well, I don't know if he was terrified of Hank running the organization because Hank stepped up when George passed away, and you know, Hank was similar to his dad. He was terrified of Hal running the organization. He didn't. He literally wanted his son-in-law to be in charge instead of Hal. He wanted anybody but Hal. He probably asked the grounds crew instead of Hal. He never wanted Hal anywhere near his Yankees because he knows if anyone knows when a son's incompetent, it'll be the dad. Trust me. If anyone knows when their son is incompetent, it'll be his dad. George knew that Hal was completely incompetent. He knew it. It's just unfortunate run of incredibly unfortunate events that has led to us Hal being the owner, the whole shit with the son-in-law, and then Hank passing away, rest in peace, and now we got this disaster in charge, and that's why this team is what it is. Dude, yeah, I mean, I don't have any doubt that Brian Cashman is just going to be like Jason Voorhees, where he'll just keep coming back. You know, Brian Cashman in space, Brian Cashman in hell, Brian Cashman in a hockey mask, just continuing to come back and ruin our day every single day. So, anyway, once again, my hatred towards Brian Cashman has led to the stream going off in another direction. The real purpose of this, though, is to talk about Aaron Boone and his lack of leadership. He allows all this shit to happen. He's culpable as well. He is culpable as well. Because let's go back to his idiot players. Dude, when are we going to get the end of Jazz Chisholm? Like, at what point do we just go, this Jazz thing, it's done? The guy's a nincompoop. It's a good word. But that guy is a nincompoop. He once again got himself out in the base paths. Again. He must be on like the dozenth time this season that he's got himself out in the base paths. At least. I don't have the stats, but I know he's always out on the base paths. Always. Always getting caught in a rundown. And Aaron Boone always defends him. Always. Jesus. Excuse me. So, Jazz is an idiot. And so apparently he had some cramps. So the cramps were the reason why he didn't run it out to first base? That's a weird look. And why was he out there anyway? If he pulled up hurt. Why was he out in the next inning? I don't understand. But apparently it was just a cramp. How do you cramp, by the way, playing baseball? It's not like you're playing soccer where you're running constantly for 90 minutes. I don't get it. But it's Jazz. I think he just got lazy, personally. But we'll see. It doesn't matter. He cost us. He got himself thrown out. So there's that. Alex Sanchez. What is he doing on this roster? What is he doing on this roster? He cost the Yankees multiple times over the last 2 days. He can't field his position. He's actually a shitty catcher, in my opinion. And offensively, he stranded 5 runners in scoring position over the last 2 games in extra innings. It's a bum. And that snap throw was embarrassing. Should never happen on a major league level. And then you got Jason Dominguez, who is getting coddled right now. And I know that he's popular, but I'm underwhelmed in the extreme with Jason Dominguez. You cannot make the play that he made today. You cannot do it. It should never be allowed. It should never be allowed. Like, he finally squared up to a pitch, drilled it in the gap. Perfect triple. And he completely mistimed his slide. And he went flying past the third base bag. It was truly an abomination. It was an abominable decision. It cannot happen on a major league club. You never, ever make the first out at third base. Like, it's a cardinal sin. But that is what happened. And it just happens too often, man. And, it could be Jazz one day. It could be Volpe the next day. Oh, it was Volpe the other day when he dropped a routine pop-up, which continued the game. The mental mistakes are through the roof. Through the roof. And it seems to be allowed. And I don't see any preparation. I don't see any real effort to address it. It's always dismissed. And this is not this year. As I keep saying, this has been going on for years. The Dodgers called it Yankee baseball. The Yankees the Dodgers called it Yankee baseball. Their scouting report was, put the ball in play and they'll shoot themselves in the foot. And tell me what aspect of that scouting report is proven to be outdated 2 years later. You can use that scouting report to this day, and it's not changed. They take no responsibility, and that comes from Aaron Bubbles. He takes no responsibility. He coddles the players. The players don't take any responsibility. Players make ridiculous mistakes, and they get a big hug after from Aaron Boone. That's not how you run a team that has any kind of ambition. You can't run a team with that kind of lack of ambition. You shouldn't be coddling people for ridiculous mistakes, because then what's the cutoff? And that's a great point. What is the cutoff? At what point do you stand up against stupidity? You know what I'm saying? At what point? Because we've seen it so many times with lollipop shit from Jazz, and then Jazz not knowing the rules earlier this year, and then the year before, Jazz getting caught out on a pop-up to second base, in between first and second, I might add, and he got caught out. And Boone was totally fine with all of it. No problems. None at all. No issues at all with it. No, nothing. No problem. All good. Nothing to see here, folks. You know? Volpe throwing to the wrong base. No problem with it. Good heady baseball play. He continues to defend shit, you know? And with that comes a lack of mental preparation, a lack of awareness, and it becomes a cancer, really. It becomes a cancer. But hidden past in the chat, good to see a new poster in the chat. I can't stand Boone. He's a bad manager and they won't win him, and I can't stand Cashman too. Bro, welcome to the chat. I think me and you will get on very well because I completely agree. If you haven't already done so, please hit the sub button. But yeah, thank you for the comment. Completely agree with you. You're 100% right. And I truly believe that there is no chance that the Yankees will win a world championship with Aaron Boone as manager. It just can't. It's just almost impossible for it to happen at this point. It's been too long, and there doesn't seem to be any improvement. No improvement. Right, exactly, Jade. It's so true that this team has had so many embarrassing, humiliating losses year after year under Boone. Right? What was that crazy game against the Marlins where they blew a gigantic lead? And every bullpen arm just completely fell apart and blew it. That was just last year. You know? What about the playoffs where they got back-to-back blowouts? Blown out against the Blue Jays back-to-back games. By the way, the Blue Jays are multiple games below 500 this year, by the way. Right? So at what point do you stop tipping the cap to the opposition and just saying, you know what, we need to be better? But no, they are content. They're satisfied. They rolled back a shitty roster last year to this year, made no changes. None. Nothing. Not a single change. Not one single change was made. Nothing. Ridiculous. No change at bench coach, no change at third base, no change at manager, of course. No change at analytics, no change in scouting. Nothing. The only change they made was the first base coach, because apparently he was the reason why we couldn't field our position and couldn't run the bases. Well, what's fucking changed this year? Because it's still ridiculous. It was never the first base coach's fault. We've been through so many hitting coaches over the years, and this team still can't hit runners in scoring position. What were they, 4 for 31 the last 2 days? 1 for 15 today alone? 1 for 15, and the only run that they got was from a ghost runner. Otherwise, it'd be 0 for 16. Give me a freaking break. It's the same shit. They have the worst record in baseball in extra innings this year. The worst. They can't do it. They're incapable because they can't drive in runs. They don't know how to bunt runners over, and they can't hit in the clutch. And they can't run the bases properly. That's why they keep losing the ghost runner games. It's kind of hard not to score in the ghost runner rules now. With a runner in scoring position and nobody out, a bunt gets you to third, and any ball put in play scores. It's hard not to score. And the Yankees are determined not to. Determined. They will fight tooth and nail to ensure they don't score in extra innings. At what point Do we hold up and just say, this is a bad team, poorly managed, poorly coached, poorly prepared? At what point do we say that? Because I've been saying it for years. It's about damn time that some changes are made, honestly. I am sick to death of watching shitty baseball, shitty Yankee baseball, and shitty, stupid excuses for that shitty baseball. I'm sick to death of it. Sick of it. I pray for change. Pray for it. Mario wants to sell. I would love it, bro. It's never going to happen. So the easiest thing to do would be Hal Steinbrenner getting off his boat, coming back from Milan, and doing his frickin' job. The best thing that could happen to the Yankees is honestly to tank out and then get rid of Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone. Because mediocrity, which the Yankees love and thrive off of, right? They love it because it means they don't need to make any changes, is not putting the Yankees further forward at all. It's kind of like the NBA and the NFL. If you're mediocre, you're going to go nowhere, right? And this is what the Yankees are. They're mediocre. They are a mediocre franchise. They are run mediocrely. It's not really a word. They're run on a mediocre level. They're coached on a mediocre level. They play mediocre baseball, and they get mediocre results. They're flat track bullies, but they can't handle prime time, and they sure as hell can't handle October. And they can't handle any good pitching whatsoever. Any kind of decent quality pitching, and they fall the fuck apart. And it's been happening every year since 2018. Every year. Mediocrity is not going to help the Yankees. So getting the first wild card is not actually going to help the Yankees because they're just going to be content. They'll be like, look, we made the wild card and we did it without Aaron Judge. Good for us. Tap in the back. How about extensions for everyone? That's what happens with these Yankees right now. Oh, we got embarrassed in October. October doesn't count. No. That doesn't suit our narrative, right? But we won in the regular season. That's all that matters. Let's roll it back, baby. And this time it'll be different. We love this roster. What did Brian Cashman say? Defy anyone to tell me this isn't a World Series roster. Holy shit. They said it last season as well. Did they win a World Series? Shit. Didn't even make it out of the DS. Didn't even win the division. World Series team my ass. You faced the World Series team last week, and you got pasted. Yeah, World Series my ass. Right? So seriously, like mediocrity doesn't help. It's kind of like the NFL and the NBA. The best thing you could either do is to have a great record or a shitty one and get some change. And we're at the stage where we need some change. But the Yankees are never going to be bad enough to be completely shitty. But honestly, at this stage, mediocre is shitty for what the Yankees level is. You know what I'm saying? And we just have to remember what the Yankee level is. So I know there will be a lot of people that are going to be like, oh, you're so harsh on this team. You're so negative about this team. They win 90 games. They win 89 games, blah, 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 blah. I know there'll be teams from fans from the White Sox that are loving this season that have struggled over the last few years. You know what I'm saying? Or there'll be fans of other organizations like the Orioles who are basically permanently in a state of rebuild. You know, I know there are different franchises out there that would look at a Yankee fan going, they're so spoiled that they're unhappy with 89, 90 wins. But the truth is, there are different expectations here, and I don't think we should be apologetic about it. I'm tired of being apologetic for it. Tired of being apologetic for having high standards for the New York Yankees. Now, my standards are different depending on the team. You know what I'm saying? Like the New York Giants, they're not a great franchise. Let's be honest, right? So I don't hold them to the same kind of levels of demands that I hold the Yankees to, right? Because the Yankees have 27 world championships and 100 times the resources of 90% of the league in a non-salary cap sport. Right? There's different expectations I have for the Yankees because of that. Right? Well, the Knicks and the Giants, they have to work within the salary cap. The Yankees, as of right now, don't. There's really no reason that a good general manager who spends wisely, makes the right moves at the right time, shouldn't be able to make this team a world championship team. And then you look at the American League is dog shit. The American League is dog shit. And yet the Yankees still look like dog shit in a dog shit American League. That's hard to do. Hard to do. So yeah, I hold the Yankees to a high standard. They should be better than this. They should be championship or bust. Now, I'm not saying every single year that they don't win a championship needs like wholesale changes. No. But championship or bust just generally means these are the expectations. If you play like dog shit and you're far off those expectations, then we might need to look at changes, right? And I'm sorry, but this has been going on since 2018. The real franchise in town, the New York Knicks, what did they do? They fired Tom Thibodeau because they lost in an Eastern Conference Finals. And then brought in a coach that won them the whole freaking thing the next year. That's a team that's championship or bust. And the owner made clear it's championship or bust. You don't win a championship this year, then there's going to be changes. He said so. He said so publicly, right? And that's in a salary cap sport. The Yankees have no such issues. They have no such issues, no such reason why they should not be perennial World Series contenders. But they're not. They're below 500 in October under Aaron Boone. They excuse ridiculous mistakes. They excuse ridiculous playoff losses. They excuse getting swept against the Astros in the ALCS. And they keep extending Aaron Boone. They keep extending him. The Giants have been through multiple coaches. The Knicks have been through multiple coaches. The Yankees are stuck on one. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. There is no excuse for this. No excuse for this attitude that the Yankees have right now. As I say, Cashman he's wasted like $1 billion more than $1 billion. Astronomical figures Brian Cashman has wasted on numerous fuck-ups. Most recently, McMahon. Most recently, Trent Grisham on his qualifying offer. He's on a 2 for 40 streak right now. Most recently, and then prior to that, Josh Donaldson, Aaron Hicks, DJ LeMahieu extension, Joey Gallo, multiple, constant fuck-ups. Constant. Never changes. No problem. He's wasted tons of resources. I don't understand why Hal's not pissed off about that. It doesn't make any sense to me. Is he not pissed off at that? If you're not going to win a championship, all right, well, please at least spend wisely. You can't even do that right. But the thing is, I'm not going to celebrate mediocrity. The Yankees do. It's a terrible look to extend Aaron Boone after they lost the World Series embarrassingly. Like, it's most organizations don't do that. I guarantee if Mike Brown lost in the NBA Finals or the conference finals, he would have been fired. But the Yankees are operating in a completely different level right now of mediocrity that I've never seen before from the Yankees or from most organizations. I've never seen this constant trend of mediocrity and being cool with it. Like, normally at some point you get sick of it and go, right, let's maybe just change something up. Just shit for shits and giggles. Let's try something different. You know, let's try a different approach. Why not? We just don't do it. 2009. It's exactly the same approach from 2010 onwards. It's really mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling that people still defend Boone, even though there's probably only about like 3% of the fan base still do, but 97% of the fan base don't and are smart and know that he's not it. But the 3% that still defend him, I don't know what you guys are looking at. Like, seriously. The only stat that matters is they're below 500 in October. It's the only stat that should matter if you're a true Yankee fan, honestly. Brian Cashman, I know that there's defenders for him out there. God knows why. He's not cash god. He just goes from one mistake to the next and misspends astronomical amounts of resources. Like, it doesn't take a great GM to do that, right? As I say, it's kind of hard to miss the playoffs when you have a $300+ million payroll and Aaron Judge and a couple of decent pitchers and an entirely shitty American League. It's really hard to miss the playoffs, and the Yankees make the playoffs. But they just tap themselves in the back. They don't have any ambition beyond that. I just want to get that ambition back. So that's why I go on Yankified, and I spend time hoping upon hope that one day they remember who they are. Until then, it's a forlorn hope, and I'm just ranting into the ether. But at least I'm on the right side of history. I'm just not going to stand by and watch a great organization be mediocre and be content with it. Like, it doesn't make sense. Most organizations don't do it. It's not right. It's not a right way to treat fans. And it's not a good way to waste valuable windows. You know, Garrett Cole's window is valuable. Judge's window is valuable. You know, don't respect it. Very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. So, I know that there has been some talk of Brian Cashman trying to make a move. So let's see if anything comes to fruition. The Yankees are obviously going to try and bring in an outfielder. My God, they have to, right? My dear God, they desperately need an outfielder. So I guess before we close out, we can maybe talk a little bit about the deadline. Is there any player that, you know, would get you excited? You know, is there a player out there that would get you excited? So according to John Heyman, they're all over the map right now. I mean, that word choice is interesting. When you say something like, oh, he's all over the map, that's not really a compliment. It means you're in panic mode, that you're all over the place. I know that's not probably what Heyman meant, but when you think about it, that's exactly what Brian Cashman is. He's all over the place. He doesn't have a strategy. He doesn't have a plan. He doesn't have a plan of attack. He doesn't have a strategy. He's incredibly reactionary. And that will be the title of our next Yankified. Trust me. I'm going to talk about Brian Cashman constantly being reactionary. So you guys wait for that one, because it's too late in this podcast to go into depth about how Brian Cashman is constantly reactionary rather than being proactive. But to look at another report here, another beat writer says that Cashman doesn't want to be swimming in overpriced waters. Cashman put himself in that position because he doesn't plan ahead. Hello? It's so frustrating. It's just like we're constantly repeating the same shit. But it's the truth. Cashman put himself in overpriced waters because he didn't do anything in the offseason. He has no leverage in these negotiations. Any team with any kind of ability, right, would be saying, geez, the Yankees are in desperate need of like half a roster at this point. We can afford to really drive the price up. Oh, you want our league average catcher? Oh, you want our league average outfielder? Oh, you want our league average shortstop? You want our league average third baseman? All right. Well, how about you give us all your top prospects then? And if you're not going to do it, then I'll just send them up to the Red Sox. See, the thing is, when you're in it's kind of like a catch-22 for the Yankees, right? Because the extended wild card basically means it's impossible for the Yankees to miss the playoffs, right? So then they'll celebrate making the playoffs every year. But the negative aspect to that is it also means 3/4 of the league is still very much active within a shout of getting the last wild card. So they're not going to be sellers either. And they might even be buyers. So the Yankees are going to be fighting with a lot more teams for the player that you want. And because you have no leverage in negotiations, you can't play hardball for a catcher. Your catcher is Ali Sanchez, who launched the ball down the third base line. Threw the ball down the third base line, I should say. To cost us the game yesterday. Cost us the game with his bat as well multiple times. Right? And the other guy is the clown that's batting 150 with the worst offensive season the Yankees have seen in 60 years. So you can't play hardball for a catcher. Cashman's done it to himself. So, yeah, John Heyman says Brian Cashman's all over the map. Of course he's all over the map. He doesn't have a plan. He never has a strategy. He can't develop talent. He sure as hell doesn't know how to cultivate it. And he struggles to acquire it. The roster is bullshit. It's a bullshit roster. It's a bullshit roster created by Brian Cashman. So, when you see things like, oh, Cashman's not going to be swimming in overpriced waters, it's you're supposed to credit him for that? He's put himself in that position because his team has no depth. The time to get depth was in the off season. You fucking imbecile. Mason Miller is a top priority. Yeah, great, but there's no player off that you can hold out in negotiations. So that's kind of pointless. It's poor roster construction. Now, there are some serious conversations that Brian Cashman's having. I can certainly break this for you. The Angels are engaged in active trade talks with several teams, including the Yankees, for Joe Adell and Jorge Soler. He even said that the trade could be done in the coming hours. Now, Joe Adell would certainly be a massive upgrade for the Yankees. So yeah, the Yankees are among clubs inquiring about Joe Adell. Less frantic about acquiring Soler, but the Yankees are in desperate need of bats. Their offense is fucked. So Joe Adell, I mean, it's a no-brainer. But by the way, the Red Sox are interested in him as well. There'll be a bunch of teams interested in him. And the Yankees have no leverage because they have no outfielders. Got Max Schumann playing left field right now. A utility infielder playing left field and butchering it dramatically. Yeah, they need an outfielder. Bad. And Trent Grisham's metrics in center field are awful. And you can make the argument that Trent Grisham, had he actually played shallow yesterday, he may have been able to have caught that very shallow fly to center field that drove in the winning run. But he was playing back for reasons unknown to the world. The Yankees have no leverage because they have no depth, because their general manager is a fucking moron. Does anybody else get that? Padres want Dax Kilby. Okay. So I think Warren and Elmer and Dax and Spencer would get the done for Miller. Apparently, teams love Dax Kilby and Will Warren. I'd send Will Warren out tomorrow. I'd trade Will Warren tomorrow. I don't like him, and I don't rate him, and I don't care. Tax likes him. I don't like Will Warren. I think he's incredibly overrated, and I would definitely trade him. There's a team that values him, great. If it gets me a catcher and gets me a reliever, I would do it. Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, I mean, Warren, ERC, Dax Kilby. Is that enough to get a guy like Mason Miller? I don't think so. There's not really any incentive for the Padres to get rid of Mason Miller. And also, the Yankees have to pay attention. Their farm system isn't in great shape. Because Brian Cashman is so reactionary, and he's made so many reactionary trades, such as last season, he got rid of a lot of arms. Miller would empty the top names in our farm system. Would empty it, and then with them gone, our farm system will be depleted. So we have to be very smart about this. We have to be very, very smart about this. That's why I don't really believe that it's worth it. 3.5 games out at this stage with this AAA roster that we've got right now, that it's going to be for the next 4 to 6 weeks. We've got a AAA roster. You don't know what state Aaron Judge is in. Stanton is miles away. Like, you have to be realistic about this. Like, you can make some moves on the margins, but I'm just, I mean, if anything, I tend to agree with Cashman that not to get into overpriced waters, because it's kind of not worth it. But I'm not giving Cashman a pass because he should have done this shit in the off season. He should have done this shit in the off season. He should have made the winning moves to win a championship in 2024. He didn't do it. That was the window. Juan Soto having a career year. Big G having one of the greatest Octobers ever in the history of the game. He was that good in October. Aaron Judge having a generational season. Garrett Cole pitching lights out. That was the year to go all in. I keep saying it, and I'll say it to them till I'm blue in the face. That was the year to go all in. Cashman didn't do it. Now, he's wanted to go all in when you don't have Aaron Judge, you don't have Big G, you don't have Bellinger. It doesn't seem to make a whole. You don't have a catcher, you don't have a shortstop. It doesn't make a whole heap of sense. It really doesn't make a whole heap of sense. And our farm system is limited now. See, it's a sliding doors moment. It's a sliding doors moment. It's a sliding doors moment. 2024 July deadline was the sliding doors moment for the Yankees. That was, for me, that was a sliding doors moment, and they'll never get as close again under Boone and Cashman. That's my personal opinion. It's just tough, you know. It's tough to be so close, but you know, you just miss the mark. You know, Andy Pajes would have looked pretty good as a Yankee, you know. It's just tough. Really, really tough. So anyway, Donald, the Padres wanted to draft Kilby last year. I mean, the Padres have some players that are worthwhile. I'm not saying that they don't. Yankees have a great farm. No, they don't. It's depleted, man. It's heavily depleted farm right now. I mean, yeah. Let's have a look at the Padres roster. Let's look at the Padres roster. So obviously, Mike King just jumps out. You know, obviously Mason Miller. I would love Fernando Tatis, but he's not going anywhere. I like Adrian Morejon. I think he makes a ton of sense. He's 8-2 with a 3.14 ERA, 64 strikeouts, 1.12 WHIP. He's been dominant, and according to Sports Illustrated, the Padres are predicted to deal him. That's the kind of guy I'd be going for. If it costs us Kilby, I'd still do it. I think Morejon would be an upgrade. So if you can swing a deal where you can get Morejon in there, I don't think it's going to cost us an arm and a leg. I mean, do you target? Is there the Padres catcher? You want to target him? Maybe it's getting kind of desperate. I mean, Luis Camposano. You know, he's batting 280, which would be the greatest batting average ever if this was as a Yankee. You know, would you maybe do that? Yeah, we did deplete it with Soto. Exactly. Are you doing a deadline show? Yeah, I'll do a deadline show. Donald King can be had. Maybe we can get King as a fifth. Better than what we have. I would definitely take King back. I think the Padres make a whole heap of sense. I'm just not sure whether it would be for Mason Miller personally. I think it would cost too much. But if you got like a hitter and Adrian Morejon or Mike King and a bat, I'd be pretty happy with that. The thing is, you don't really want Jake Cronenworth. He kind of sucks. He's had a bad year. Rengifo's had a terrible year. You're never going to get Tatis. Machado's out of the question. Bogarts is laughable. Luis Campusano's had a great year, though. 286 batting average. Bats from the right side. Could you maybe get him? He'd be an upgrade. Be Cronenworth and Morejon, Donald. All right. Let's have a look and see. Drake, Cronenworth. Bro is batting 213, 3 homers. I mean, that's not going to do shit all for us, man. So I'm not really feeling that. So, yeah, deadline is on Monday from 1 to 6. Thanks, bruv. I'll check my work schedule. I think my work schedule will allow me to come on at just at the end of the deadline for sure. I could probably do a reaction post deadline. I could do that. Wish we knew what bats were available. Well, we know that Adele's definitely available. We know that. I think Zach Neto's available. We know those guys are going to be available. But there'll be a lot of teams that'll be interested in those guys as well. I could see Zach Neto going to the Red Sox. So, I mean, that's where we're at. It's not great. Mark DeRosa says, plan to rebuild and reload in Houston. Yordan Alvarez and Yainer Diaz to the Yankees for George Lombard, Will Warren, and more. Really? Oh, really? I don't think that would make sense, obviously. So they definitely need to get themselves an outfielder like fast. Fast. Let's just check out Joe Adell's stats. Because right now, his name is the one that's most heavily linked with the Yankees. 16 homers, 62 RBIs. That would definitely help. Bats from the right side, thank God. Kind of a no-brainer. just coming off a 2 RBI game against the Stros. Previous series, 2 ribs against the Giants. Rinsed the Cardinals the previous series with 4 ribbies. So yeah, he's been productive. Last year he was amazing, 37 home runs, 98 RBIs. This season, 16 homers, 62. Not to the same level, but pretty damn good. You know, you definitely take that. 124 hits last year, 101 this year. So, you know, we could certainly match the number of hits he had last year. Pretty good. Downside is his WAR is only 0.2. So he's not a huge difference maker. His on-base percentage is pathetic, 291. So he doesn't get on base. So it's not, doesn't really answer. And his OPS is only 695, which is below average, right? And his OPS plus is 96, which is 4% below average. It needs to be 100 for it to be league average. So he's actually, even though those numbers for a Yankee would be incredible, not great. 96 OPS plus, 695 OPS, 291 on base percentage, 0.2 WAR. So he's not really a huge WAR player. I think we can safely say, you know, his previous years, even his amazing year last year, we drove in almost 40 home runs. It was a 1 WAR. 20 home runs the year before that, less than a 1 WAR. 2023, a 0 WAR, negative WAR in 2022, negative WAR 2020. I mean, is he the answer? I'd have a hard time stating the case that he's the answer. But would he be an improvement? Fuck yeah. He was 4th in the American League with 37 home runs. Yeah, he'd be an upgrade, all right. But you know, I'd definitely be on board with a trade as long as it's not like crazy expensive. I'd certainly make a trade to get him. over 100 strikeouts this year. Struck out 151 times. I mean, it doesn't really address our flaws in terms of contact because he's only batting 240, has 100 plus strikeouts. You know, he doesn't really make a difference in terms of WAR, OPS plus, OPS, kind of below average in those regards. It's not an instant answer, but maybe the Yankees, he's obviously shown with the 37 home runs last year that he's got in his locker. Maybe the Yankees can unlock something else, and yeah, it's a possibility. I'd do it for in a heartbeat, as long as it's not a really expensive trade. I would definitely do it because we need an outfielder. We don't have one. Like, our outfield is fucked. But I'm just offering a little bit of tempering expectations a little bit, because we've seen it before. When we acquire strikeout heavy guys, we're going to get a lot of strikeouts because the way that the Yankees approach is, it's all exit, velo, and launch angle. So it's going to exacerbate the strikeouts. Just look at Joey Gallo, for instance. So Stevie B says, Donnie, I wanted Neto last year. Everyone said no. Who said no? Bro, I mean, fuck. Who said no? There's no one that I wouldn't have had over Volpe last year. No one. Damn. Holy crap. Katie's right. Cash God is just a bullshitter. He's a genius bullshitter. and everyone buys it. Well, not anyone in this channel, but a lot of people buy it. No, I Neto would be a no-brainer too, for sure. We have to get a catcher though, because Ali Sanchez is a disgrace. I didn't think I would find anyone that was comparably as bad as Austin Wells, but we found it. Ali Sanchez is garbage. Fucking terrible. Awful. Awful. He makes me miss JC Escara. Yeah, JC Escara is shit as well. Our catching situation is a disaster. Thank you to Brian Cashman. So, like, obviously we need an outfielder. Adele would be fine. But they need a catcher urgently. Jeffers makes too much sense. What it would cost, good Lord. The Twins have every right to demand whatever they want. As I say, the Yankees have no leverage. They have no leverage in negotiations. You can't play hardball in negotiations holding out key pieces of your farm to get, say, Ryan Jeffers or Adele, because then the other team will be going, all right, no sweat off my back. I don't want the Yankees to succeed. You know what I'm saying? That's what the other GM is going to be like. No sweat off my back. If you want to continue sucking, be my guest. You're the one that needs my catcher. I don't need any of your shit. That's what the other GM would be like. Cashman is going into these negotiations with no leg to stand on. It's the truth. He's the one without a shortstop. He's the one without a third baseman. He's the one without a catcher. He's the one without an outfielder. He's the one playing Max Schumann in left field. He's the one in chaos. The other team has every right to demand all our top prospects for even slightly above average talent. Because, as I say, there is zero leverage in negotiations, and there's always going to be a Yankee tax. I keep saying it, and I'll continue to say it. You cannot rebuild in July. You rebuild in the winter. As a strategy, it's a losing strategy because you're always going to be working in a state of panic. So when John Heyman breaks the news that Brian Cashman is all over the map, that shouldn't be a compliment. It's because they don't really have a strategy. They're just all over the place. They're like, shit, we need a catcher. Any catchers that are good, that are available, please? Any right-handed outfielders, please? Any above average middle infielders, please? Do you guys have any hard throwing relievers? Because we don't really have any. Please. That's the situation we're in. And Cashman's put us in that situation. You know? And that's how you end up getting the deadline that we got last year. Or the deadline we got where we traded for Efros and Frankie Montas. How did that work out? That's why you cannot rebuild in July. You can't make panic moves in July because it will likely come back to bite you in the ass. Just like that July deadline where we made terrible panic deals for guys like Efros and Frankie Montas, etc., all just imploded drastically, you know? Or the trade for Joey Gallo, disaster. You know, you can't work in these circumstances because you're going to get a losing end of a trade. What happened last year? Camilo Doval. It was an extremely expensive trade, and it's been a clusterfuck. You know, Jake Bird, extremely expensive trade, clusterfuck. Ryan McMahon, clusterfuck. Goddamn. 3 major trades, complete failures for Brian Cashman. So forgive me for not getting that excited about this trade deadline because they've done this to themselves. They're all over the map for a reason because they don't have a strategy, they don't have a plan. They don't have a roster plan. They're just in panic mode. They're in reaction mode because they don't foresee issues. They don't foresee injuries. They don't foresee poor performance because they're self-satisfied and they think that everything they do is right. So I can't get excited about this trade deadline. Like I genuinely don't give a fuck if the Yankees do nothing or overspend because at the end of the day, it's the same outcome. It's a poor general manager in panic mode because he's the one that allowed us to have no catcher. He's the one that didn't bring in any right-handed outfielders. I mean, he's the one that did that. He's the one that has a shitty third baseman and a shitty shortstop and an idiot at second base and an idiotic manager. He's the one that's done that. It's no one else's fault. It's his fault. It's a shame because they have the pitching to go all the way this year. They need so many bats. That's the problem. And how many bats can you realistically get? That's the issue. That's the million-dollar question, my guy. And the truth is, it's not realistic. I think the best thing the Yankees could do would be to get a serviceable outfielder from the right side that has a bit of pop, and they get a catcher. I think that's doable. You know, hey, you make the Adele trade and you bring in Jeffers, that's about as max as you can probably do. It'd be very expensive, though. And will it help the Yankees? Sure. Of course it will help the Yankees. You know, those guys will drive in some runs. By God, they need it. And so it's going to help, like, you know, over half this rotation for sure, win games that they aren't currently winning. So I'm not saying that it's not going to make a difference in terms of winning games and ensuring a wild card, sure. But, like, World Series? No chance. No chance. One outfielder, one catcher, call up Lombard. That would certainly address a lot of issues. But again, the Yankees are playing a dangerous game with Lombard because they're doing it at a state of panic. That's never good. It's never good. Patience can be a virtue. Allow Lombard to take his lumps in the minors, as they should have done with Volpe. I think Jeter called, even mentioned that last week, where he was, you know, he didn't say anything overtly bad about Volpe, but he did say that the Yankees have been having him take his lumps and learning on the fly at the big league level, which is not normally what happens. Normally, that shit happens down in the minors. But the Yankees are doing it with Volpe at the major league level, and it's getting ugly. You know? So do you want the same shit to happen to Lombard? I don't think so. And plus with the expectations, fan expectations are they need a proper shortstop. They need to frickin' win. Volpe's been a disaster. Caballero's not had a good year. So then, you know, there's fans are going to have heightened expectations for Lombard. And the Yankees are operating under a circumstance where they can't develop talent. And fans are going to have that expectation. So there's going to be very little patience for Lombard if he struggles. Look at that. They've got no patience for Spencer Jones right now. And Dominguez's patience is pretty much run out as well. So I just don't think it's the right time to be calling up Lombard. But do they have any choice? Probably not. Caballero's not been very good. Volpe's been terrible. But again, I don't think it's the right time to be calling him up because you're in a state of panic. I don't think that's the right thing to do with a top prospect. For me, I think he should be the starter as of next season. If I was being kind of patient with him, but it's a tough call. But I would certainly agree with you in general that it's either that or they go out and get a real shortstop. That's going to cost your farm, you know. And like, there's only so far our farm can stretch. Like our farm is not a great farm. It's depleted. It's depleted due to years of mismanagement from Cashman, years of it. So, and then of course, yeah, you're right, John the Beagle Dad. If you got a short trade for a shortstop, then it blocks Lombard. It's almost better the devil you know for now. That's what I'm saying. It's almost like there's just too much work that needs to be done in order to fix this. This team can't be fixed. It can be improved. It can't be fixed. It can be improved. It can't be fixed. That's my general belief. You could strengthen your wild card cause by making a move for a catcher and an outfielder. Is it strengthen your World Series cause? No. They're so far away from winning a World Series, it's not even funny. Now, they're lucky. The American League is a joke, so they could back their way in. I don't think so, but they could back their way in, but they're going to lose in the World Series. Badly. So the problem is it's not personnel. It never has been personnel. John the Beagle Dad says it here. It's the culture. The culture needs to be fixed before we can talk about World Series for the Yankees. And it starts with your manager. No, it starts with your general manager. But it also has a lot to do with your manager as well. And the lack of leadership in the locker room. There's just not a lot of leaders in that locker room, including Judge. Who are the real leaders in this locker room? Stanton's on the IL, so I'm going to discount him. He would have been one of my choices. I guess the leaders in this locker room would be Rice, Schlitt, Cole, Goldschmidt, Belly when he's healthy-ish. Kind of, that's it. I don't think I'm missing anybody. Not really any other leaders. I don't really count Judge as much of a leader. Boone's definitely not a leader. You know, there's just a lack of leaders, a lack of winners. So the culture's fucked, and the manager's soft. The general manager's a prick, and the owner's absent. That's the stuff that needs to be fixed. That's the stuff that needs to be fixed far before we even talk about a panic trade deadline. So, you know, it's just my major takeaway here is, oh, yeah, Brian Cashman's all over the map trying to get pieces in. Well, it doesn't really fill me with confidence because he's done it to himself. Interestingly, update from Jack Curry, fans bring up Jeffers and Miller. The Twins and Padres are on the edge of the wild card and might not move players. That's the thing. That is the thing about the increased wild card. It's a catch-22. So a lot of the teams that we're, you know, trying to get to become sellers, there's not really any incentive for them to sell because they're just as much of a chance to make the wild card as the Yankees do. That's why you don't rebuild in July. I keep saying it. It's not like the 2000s anymore. It's not like the Yankees who used to be able to operate in a situation where there was only the elite 10% that could really go and win. So you could go in at each deadline and go and basically have your, you know, have your fill of the players you need to win a championship, i.e. bringing in David Justice, etc., etc. You know, that shit doesn't exist now. This is a watered-down league where 75% of the league are in contention for a wild card spot. You know, it's a watered-down league where the entire American League sucks, including the Yankees. So there's not really any vast difference between, like, say, the Yankees and, heck, the White Sox, for instance. So what's the, you know, what would be the incentive for these teams to give us their best players? That's why you don't build in July. But Cashman is working like he's still in 2000. He's done. Aaron Boone needs to be gone, and a lot of these players need to go. So that's my overall belief in this. But I know there'll be a lot of fans will be excited about the trade deadline. I can't say I'm excited about the deadline because it's kind of like this same old, you know. There's not very many players that wouldn't improve the Yankees because the Yankees are awful. Just being honest. So about anybody that they bring in probably help them. But would it help them win a championship? I don't think so, because to win a championship, you have to fix the culture. You have to fix your mindset, your preparation, your fundamentals, and your manager. And that's a far deeper problem. And I don't think that those are problems that the Yankees really want to face up to. So this White Sox series was hardly a surprise. This offense sucks. It's a AAA roster. So I'll give Aaron Boone credit for the fact that they're very much competing, even with this shitty-ass roster. But, you know, if I take it much beyond that, no, I can't really give them credit for the lack of preparation, the terrible approach with runners in scoring position. They try and get themselves out. They lose every single extra innings game. It's hard to get excited about that. I'm sorry. So that's where we're at. Don't mean to be negative, but just telling the truth, guys. Telling the truth. But if you guys could all hit that like button, sub up, share up, hit the notification bell so that you guys know when I drop and I go live with Yankified reaction shows. I will come on Monday night to after the deadline probably to talk about what we did or didn't do. And that will be interesting. But I really appreciate everybody that stuck around for another episode of the Yankified podcast. Y'all are the best. Y'all are the GOATs. Everyone in the chat, bless up to all of you guys. Uncle Tats and the crew will be back tomorrow to break down, give out the season or the series awards, and give the panel's thoughts on another awful series. But thank you so much to everybody in the chat. Have a great rest of your evening. Bless up to all you guys. See you in the next stream.